Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Karen Morley and Black Crow Walking, bringing you A Course of Love by Mari Perron. And we are doing a study. I'm studying anyway. Are you studying, Carol? Karen? Anyway, we're up to chapter 7, which is about withholding, and we're up to verse 11 today. There are but two forms of withholding: what you withhold of yourself from the world, and what you withhold of yourself from the world.
For
For the
yourself.
world. Oh,
For
hang on. Let me read that again. There are two forms of withholding: what you withhold of yourself from the world, and what you withhold for yourself from the world. A grievance is something you have chosen for yourself, a piece of relationship separated off and held in contempt and righteousness. You are unaware that you choose this form of withholding. Sometimes dozens or even hundreds of times a day, an unreturned phone call, a bit of traffic, a harsh word spoken, an unremembered errand, all can be resentments. You hold resentments you hold to yourself and refuse to let go. By the time you begin your day, you may hold several of these in your hands, and there you build them into reasons for even further withholding. Now you have an excuse, or several excuses, for a bad day. Why should you give anything to anyone when your day has already treated you so badly? You withhold even a smile because you have chosen grievances over love. Full on. Your turn, Karen.
You might choose to tell those you encounter of your bad day. And if they are properly sympathetic, you may feel that you have gotten something in exchange for the resentments you carry. And if the exchange is determined to be of equal value, you might let them go. A response of less than sympathetic proportions, however, is simply added to your list of grievances until the burden of what you hang on to becomes more than you can bear. Now you look for now you look for one upon whom you can unload your burdens, hoping you can pass your grievances en masse to someone else. If you succeed through anger, spite, or meanness, you simply take on guilt and withdraw still further into your own misery.
Well, so they're talking about the pain body today. And if you don't know about the pain body, I would highly recommend that you either watch YouTube or read A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, and he explains the pain body to you. The pain body is a little bit like a psychic vampire; it needs to feed. So if you, as you can see here in this very apt definition of what we do in this world when we're living in a pain body, we build on our grievances. We take offence at people's tones of voice, looks on their faces, and it's like we are hunting for something to give ourselves pain. And if we can't find something from someone else, some sort of relationship, then we root around in our own past and find that really sad story of what happened to us then and feed on that. So basically, this is talking about the pain body this morning. So let's have a look at it. There are but two forms of withholding: what you withhold of yourself from the world, and what you withhold for yourself from the world. So the question is, what are you withholding from the world?
Mm. I think for me, the true essence of who I am. I'm withholding that from the world. Um,
And what is the true essence of what you are?
for me, it's really living in alignment with that feeling of peace and hope and love and joy. That sense of always being in that space and and radiating from that space, no matter what's going on around me. And I withhold that. I withhold that.
And
I do not allow it to surface all the time.
and what do you get out of that, Karen?
Oh,
And
yes, that's a good question.
it's a question we all need to ask ourselves,
It is a
you
good
know?
question because it is actually feeding those negative thoughts about
Mm,
myself.
mm,
It's really, I'm operating from that space.
mm.
And so
Yeah.
it's recognizing it. So it's a really good one, this one this morning.
So if we're withholding anything from anybody, then if what we're holding is our true authentic selves, which is happiness, peace, and freedom, then we're not giving it to ourselves either. So what you withhold from others, you withhold from yourself. And oh, it's like when we build a wall. We don't just hold people out here. We don't just push them away or keep them away from us. When we build a wall, we're locking ourselves in. And that's exactly what this is saying. The withholding is withholding from yourself. The locking people out of your life is locking you in. And we do it for years, and then it becomes like a it becomes like our go-to. It's what we know. We know how to be behind the wall, but we don't know how to be on the other side of the wall, giving our true authentic selves. So it's kind of like the pain bodies. The pain body for me is like, uh, well, it used to be. I don't have so much a pain body now because I've worked and worked and worked and worked on it for years. But what I used to do is if I'd been happy for more than 2 days, I would deliberately do something to create pain, and it's because I knew how to survive the pain, Karen, but I didn't know how to be happy. And it was a foreign thing for me, having grown up in a world of abuse, war, suffering, and being the normal. Um, and I think we've all got a pain body, and I really do recommend you watch Eckhart Tolle's YouTube on that because there is a way to stop, and that's partly why I say just stop all the time. Is what you do is you flick your fingers like this, and this is kinesiology. You flick it off, flick it off. So when you feel yourself hunting for pain or withholding, you flick it off and say, no, not doing that now. I'm not doing that now. What am I doing? Oh, I'm having a cup of tea. What am I doing? I'm driving the car. So coming back to the now moment and focusing absolutely meticulously on what you're doing now. And that was how I let go of the pain body. That's how I retrained myself to be present with the moment of now and to let go of this hunting for pain thing that we do. Let's read a little bit more. Did you want to say anything else, Karen?
There was just something else that came up for me was that often it's out of fear that I'm going to be hurt.
Mm.
So it's a protection. So the wall is a really good metaphor for me too, in that it's holding me apart from the world, but it's also holding me within the walls of fear.
Mm.
Yeah.
And fear, there is only fear or love. That's what we've discovered all along. Is only fear or love, and which one are you coming from? If you're coming from fear, then you're withholding. If you're coming from fear, then you're building the walls of separation, So the grievance is something that you have chosen for yourself. It's a piece of relationship, separated off and held in contempt and righteousness. And this brings up something that I've been going through over the last 2 years since COVID. Is there's been a lot of separation in so many different ways with COVID, and what as a Cancerian, and that's me, the little Cancerian that feels so deeply, I've realised that I have at the moment 2 relationships that I'm separated off from. And that I used to be really, 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 really close to these people. And because one little tiny thing happened, there's been a separation from that tiny little thing. And my mind goes into total confusion. My heart hurts like this deep, deep grief, because with those people I have experienced the most delicious moments. I've built a relationship that has been so stunningly supportive and beautiful and connected, and then that one little thing happened, and neither of us knew why it happened. It was just ridiculous, and as they are, those little things, and yet it destroyed the relationship and created a separation. And my poor little Cancerian heart does not know how we can choose, other than seeing the pain body, choose to separate over something when so many other lovely things happened, you know? So I'm in the moment of processing that and making it better. I'm making it better for me because I hate this disconnection thing. So it's a piece of relationship separated off and held in contempt and righteousness. Yeah, that righteousness is big, isn't it? I'm right, you're wrong. What else is righteousness, Karen? Do you know?
No, I think righteousness for me is that I'm wanting to put my point of view forward. I want to be heard, but I want to be accepted and understood. And to the point where I will hold my ground firmly instead of opening myself up to listening to other points of view.
Yeah. Full on, eh?
Yes, very full
I
on.
think that's the argument and the debate, isn't it? I'm right, you're wrong. And that brings back the point that I've been making all year, is that there is no right, wrong, good, bad. It's all an illusion, and it just makes me laugh these days when we go into this is right, that's wrong, this is good, this is bad, the judging, the categorizing, the labeling, It's exhausting. Let's not do it anymore. All right. You are unaware that you choose this form of withholding, sometimes dozens or even hundreds of times a day. So being unaware is being the walking dead. It's being asleep in your journey. So if you're asleep, you're not going to notice that you're withholding. So it's time to wake up. Let's wake up. An unreturned phone call, a bit of traffic, a harsh word spoken, an unremembered errand, all can be resentment you hold to yourself and refuse to let go of. By the time you sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, wow, that comes up for me, and things that I haven't done for others, or I haven't fulfilled a promise, or I haven't completed a task that is for others. I tend to really reprimand myself for that and hold on to that. Yes, I tend to refuse to let it go until I recognize what I'm doing. But it's so easy just to get into that mindset and that space of being.
Yes, because we've been trained. We've been trained in that model,
Mm.
right from school days. From school days, we were trained to resent and use these harsh spoken words. Um, and like, oh, I left a message. Why didn't you return my phone call? Have I done something wrong? You immediately go to right, wrong, good, bad. You know. Now you have an excuse. Several excuses for a bad day. Oh, there's the pain body. I'm having a bad day. I'm in my stuff. Stop it. Why should you give anything to anyone when your day has already been treated you so badly? You withhold even a smile because you have chosen grievance over love. And mm, it's very tempting wanting sympathy. It's very tempting to hold a really sad story and put it out there as a, please give me sympathy. And I can't do sympathy anymore, Karen, because it disempowers the other person. For me, empowerment comes from empathy when you create a space for the other person to be seen and heard, and not this sympathy bit that goes around giving everybody a poor me story. And please give me sympathy, because it just builds on and builds on. And often, in the Native American Indian, I'm telling you stories now, in the Native American Indian tribe that I lived in, um, what we uh, what we understood from down through history is that when you're living in a tribal situation, it's really important to keep that tribal situation a healthy place to be. And so they have what's called a grandmother council. And you can take your grievance to the grandmother council 3 times and they will give you advice. And if on the third time you haven't taken that advice, they will cast you out of the tribe. And the reason they do that is because you're not listening to yourself, for a start. And you're running around from person to person trying to gather um, support for your grievance. And you become an infection. You become a wound within the tribe, and and so you're cast out of the tribe until you work it out. And I think most of us need to be cast out of the tribe until we start waking up and listening to ourselves, and realizing that nothing matters, and that our connections with each other need to be based on love, not on fear, not on resentments and grievances and the things that hold us in separation.
Mm. As you say, that brings up a story for me in that in a very dark place and sitting on my step at where I was living and wanting to trying to ring all different friends, family, anyone who could support me in my like in my very, very, very low time. And nobody was picking up. Nobody was answering. I could connect to nobody. And I just sat there. The sun was shining on me. I just sat there and allowed myself to be
Hmm.
that space. And
Beautiful.
I think it was, I always say to let go and let God. So I actually sat there in that space, really feeling it. And it was like a trapdoor. It was a trapdoor opened, and all of a sudden I fell through it. And there was such peace that was there.
Hmm.
My original intent was to search for others to give me that peace or to hear my voice, but instead being in that place of being with that and knowing that whatever would be is okay, that really brought me a sense of amazing peace where I was desperate at that point in time. And the other thing that crops up is that sentence here. It says, you withhold even a smile because you have chosen grievances over love. For me, the choose again, that word, I choose again. I choose to see this differently, or I choose another path. That is so powerful for me.
Hmm.
When I stop and I remember to choose, which choice do I want to make here, and that really helps me so much through the day.
Beautiful. Would you like to
Yeah,
bring us the next bit, Karen?
yeah. You might choose to tell those you encounter of your bad day. And if they are properly sympathetic, you may feel that you have gotten something in exchange for the resentments you carry. And if the exchange is determined to be of equal value, you might let them go.
Hmm. Yep, I can't say I'm perfect yet, Karen. I recently had an experience in the hospital where the nurse left or somehow dislodged the cap off the cannula, and I had a massive bleed out into the bed. And for a whole week, I couldn't let it go. I had to tell people about this story. I needed the sympathy, and it wasn't until I got empathy from my NVC group, which is nonviolent communication, that I was able to truly let it go. But I was hanging on to that thing. I felt righteous about it. I really felt righteous that somebody should listen to this story and fix it, because it was never acknowledged in the hospital. They just come and whipped everything away and covered it all up. And it was like, what was that? I just lost my blood. And it wasn't my fault. I mean, if I'd done something to lose my blood, it would have been different. Somebody else took it. So sorry for laughing, but it's just it's just the way we carry on, don't we? And I carried on for a whole week about it. Oh dear. I'm over it now, thank God.
As you say, sometimes it's just that you're reaching out to be seen and heard, and
Mm,
somebody holding you in that space, or you holding another person in that space,
mm.
brings so much healing to it.
It does. And that brings up the opposite point of view, the contrast, which is let's hold each other in a space where we can be seen and heard. And it's such a beautiful gift to receive, but it's also a good gift to give, because we get just as much out of it by holding that space. Yeah. And you don't have to have an opinion about it. You don't even have to say anything. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to educate the other person. You just simply need to be present and create that space for them. Mm. Thank you, Karen.
A response of less than a response of less than sympathetic proportions, however, is simply added to your list of grievances until the burden of what you hang on to becomes more than you can bear. Now you look for one upon whom you can unload your burdens, hoping you can pass your grievances en masse to someone else. If you succeed through anger, spite, or meanness, you simply take on guilt and withdraw still further into your own misery. Wow.
Yeah, that's big. If you succeed through anger, spite, and meanness to pass on your grievances. Whoa. I'm leaving the room. Oh, dear.
It is. Sometimes it's like unloading your burdens.
Mm,
So, just spewing out,
mm,
all the things that are going on for you, but not to be heard, but to get rid of them,
mm,
and they'll be gone if I do this, instead of just being present with what's happening, with another person and where they're at with what's happening too. So the burden unloading, I think, for me is the key there. I'm wanting to unload it off onto somebody else, to push it onto somebody else instead of it being on me. Let them take it all instead of let me just express what's happening for me and be held, or do the reverse, hold that space for someone else, not take on a burden. And it's so easy as having been a mother, a carer, to actually take on the burden of another.
Hmm.
And it doesn't help anyone.
No, it doesn't.
Anyone at all.
All right. Well, that's it for today, folks. We've pulled this one apart and realised where we're still doing it. And here I was thinking I'd conquered the pain body. I'm gonna practice again today. Stop it! Stop it! What am I doing? Oh, I'm having a cup of tea. Let's do that. Okay. Bye for now, lovelies. We love you, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.